Welcome to one of the most fun challenges I've ever done, making a 3D indie party game. I am starting with zero prior game dev experience, and my game will need to have online multiplayer. The goal? Going from absolute beginner to releasing a multiplayer game on Steam. When making your first game, it's commonly recommended to start with 2D, and it's definitely not recommended to do multiplayer. So why am I doing both? Well, I want to push myself. Sometimes you have to do something a little crazy to know what you're capable of. There's obviously a bunch of different ways a game can feel, but here's the general vibe that I'm going for. A party-style game that'll make you laugh, compete, and maybe even rage a little, in a fun way, of course. Think minigames, crazy challenges, and lots of multiplayer chaos. I decided to document my journey because I think it'll make me a better dev and result in a better game. You'll see my wins, failures, and everything in between. Plus, I want to connect with fellow game devs and get immediate feedback from viewers. In each episode, we'll be looking at a different part of my game's development. This will include learning Godot, which is my chosen game engine, tackling design decisions, creating game mechanics, character and level design, and much, much more. I'll do my best to explain what I learned and my decision making as I go. One of the most common recommendations when starting a game is to make a game design document. This is a descriptive document that helps you organize and map out the game's development process. Inside this document, I'll be going over main ideas, such as the game concept and player customization options. Along with that, I'll be going over technical details like learning my game engine and doing networking. Something to keep in mind is that a game design document is a living document. It's going to change over time, but the goal for now is to get a general idea of what I'm going to do. The first part of the document I'll be doing is the game concept. My game is a 3D, third-person, multiplayer party game. There should be a variety of minigames. Minigames can be similar, but the arena they are played on should make the gameplay feel different. For example, you could have a race on land versus on water. The game needs online and local multiplayer. I want to allow up to 8 players, but the game should still be playable with a couple players or even just solo. I want 2 different game modes, a competitive game mode and a free play game mode. The competitive game mode will be called Tournament. This will be a series of minigames that players compete on. The highest cumulative score across all rounds wins. The other game mode, Free Play, is intended to be a more relaxing mode. Players choose any minigame they want, so they can either practice or just play whatever they like. Top-end hardware should not be needed to play my game. I want as many people as possible to be able to play. Friends should be able to play together even if they don't all have the same quality of computer. Players should be able to use whatever control style they like, whether that's keyboard and mouse or controller. I will be using the Godot game engine. This is a free and open source 2D and 3D game engine. For our purposes, we'll be using 3D, but we'll also be using 2D in some cases such as title screens and menus. The great thing about Godot is it's cross-platform. You have the ability to export your project to desktop, web, or mobile. It also has a great community, with the blossoming GitHub of 88,000 stars. Along with that, the community seems to be very welcoming to indie devs. One of the most important things about Godot is that it's safe from unexpected changes like the recent Unity pricing controversy. I want characters to fit a theme while still allowing player expression. My characters will be somewhat simplistic humanoid characters, and there will be customizability to make players feel more connected to their character. This will include the ability to choose clothing and accessories such as hats, shirts, pants, etc., and also different colors and styles for those clothing items. You'll also be able to set your physical attributes such as hair and skin color and hairstyles. As I get started, I'm going to use these free 3D model assets from Kenny just as a template. I want players to feel like they're in a sports stadium or arena. It should feel exciting and players should feel like there's a crowd watching them. The crowd should be somewhat interactive. If a player is doing well, the crowd should chant and cheer. I also want a few different unique elements to each arena. Each stadium should be reusable for multiple minigames. Each minigame should be short. It should take less than 5 minutes on average. I want these games to require different skills and have different goals, so you don't get bored and you're not just playing the same kind of game over and over again. For example, I don't want it to just be a brawling minigame where you're just punching and pulling on each other without doing anything else. Each minigame should be simple and straightforward with 1 or 2 objectives. I'll be using relative scoring. This is mainly for the tournament mode. Players will gain points based on how well they do relative to the rest of the players. Also, I want there to be a mechanic at the end of the game that lets players come back from a big deficit, so everyone still has an incentive to play throughout the whole tournament. The game will have a simple and consistent control scheme. Players should not have to relearn controls with every minigame. There will be minigame-specific actions, but the core control system will be the same. I'll probably have 1 to 4 buttons depending on the minigame. Each game will most likely have an action button. For movement, I want players to be able to move in all 3 planes. Player movement might be limited in certain minigames. For example, if you're on a treadmill, you wouldn't be able to move left and right. The main goal for the control scheme is players should know how to play every single minigame just within a few seconds. The game will utilize peer-to-peer networking. With peer-to-peer, other players will connect to one player who is designated as the host of the game. This does present some possible security issues. One of the main concerns with peer-to-peer networking is having your IP address leaked to other players. Fortunately, Steam has a solution for that called Steam Datagram Relay. Steam Datagram Relay is Valve's virtual private gaming network. Using the Steam API, you can relay your traffic over the Steam network. This protects players from DOS attacks because IP addresses are never revealed. All the traffic you receive is authenticated, encrypted, and rate limited. To use Steamworks with Godot, I'll be using Godot Steam, which is an open source and fully functional Steamworks SDK and API module. Cost and monetization. Hopefully I'll be making money on this game through Steam. Through my research, I found that most party games on Steam sell for $15 to $30. I'd like to target the lower end of this price range while also utilizing Steam sales to drop the price even lower. For cost, there's a $100 Steam deposit that you must submit every time you're releasing a new game. However, the great thing about Steam is they'll give you your $100 back if you do $1,000 in sales. In my next video, I'll be learning Godot and I'll be creating a title screen. Since I know nothing, I'm starting at the beginning. Thank you for watching and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.